And I would like to give you some information and introduce you to the progress reporting. In our presentation, my colleague and I will be giving just general information. We will not go into detail because this is the scope of tomorrow's workshop, to really go into detail and having exercises, having hands-on work done. So, I will start off by giving you an introduction on the reporting principles. And you would ask for why is it necessary to report? Why do we need to report to the JS, to the controllers, and so on? Luca has now introduced us and spoken to us about the subsidy contract. Most of you have signed the subsidy contract, and I'm sure that you have read it really well, and that you have read the provisions related to reporting, where it is specified, there is an obligation, it's a contractual obligation of the lead partner to report the process, the implementation of the project to the Joint Secretariat and the Managing Authority. In these progress reports, you will be presenting information on the content-related and financial progress, and this is the basis for you to receive funds back. So this is the basis for the reimbursement. You do not report to us, you cannot get the money back. And the progress report is ultimately the basis for the program bodies to monitor the project, to verify that the quality and the effectiveness of the project implementation is in compliance with the application form. Luca has mentioned before that there are reasons also for terminating the contract, and this is one of them. If we find that the project, the implementation of the project is not effective and it is not what you have promised in the application form, then this, during our monitoring, we will raise questions. We will not simply, it's not a matter of terminating the contract there and then, but we will question. And this is when the clarifications are requested from your end. It's a word of advice. Before actually starting the project implementation, you have already, most of you started the implementation, and before incurring any costs, make yourself familiar with the relevant rules. It's important that you know the rules very well so that you will not be disappointed later, that you find out, I have incurred this cost, I have done this activity, but it is not eligible, and you will end up not being reimbursed for the work that have been done. So please get familiar with our rules, get familiar with our documents. My colleague will also go more into detail into what tools and what documents we have at program level. And you might ask how to ensure that this reporting is so effective and so smooth. It's vital that you provide comprehensive and clear information in the progress report. It's better to, when you want to give a message, it's better to include it in less words, because in that way you give more precise and comprehensive information. Make sure, as I mentioned before, that what you report is consistent with the application form, both from a financial point of view and from the activities. We have already mentioned that there needs to be a good flow of information. Here you are the lead partners. We're going to train you in these 2 days, and you have to pass on the messages to the partners. As long as there is a smooth information flow between the project partners and the partners, there is also a smooth information flow towards the JS. And in that way, you can collect information and provide feedback to any clarifications that we might need. The smoother the process, the more quickly you get reimbursed. And now coming a bit to the national control systems. You might know that there are different systems in place. In our program, we have some countries that follow a centralized system, and these are mainly Czech Republic, Croatia, Hungary, Poland, Slovenia, and Slovakia. And what does it it mean in simple terms? In simple terms, it means that the member state appoints just one body to perform the verification of expenditure of the project partners. And therefore, there is no choice. You cannot decide, I want controller A and not controller B. Whilst in the other type of system, what we call the decentralized system, where it is Austria, Germany, and Italy, the beneficiary is free to appoint its own controller, with the exception of Austria, because in the case of Austria, there are restrictions apply. In Austria, you do not choose your own controller, but it's important at this stage to already make contact with your controllers, with the control bodies. It's very important to understand the system. How does it work? In the case of Italy and Germany, the beneficiary selects the controller through, of course, going through the channels of procurement procedures. It's very important that you follow procurement procedures, because otherwise you end up with, as I said before, expenditure being declared as ineligible. Okay, probably the controller would not declare his own costs as ineligible, but this will not only be checked by the controller himself, but also by the control bodies and also by the Joint Secretariat and the Managing Authority. Once the selection is done, there is the approbation body who checks also the selection process and which controller has been identified and selected, and the approbation body either accepts and provides the approbation, what we call an approbation certificate, and from then onwards this controller can certify your costs, or otherwise does not accept and rejects the controller selected by you for various reasons. Maybe because this controller does not have the sufficient qualifications, or maybe through track record there is this controller did not perform well in previous programs. I don't know, there were many issues with a specific controller, and then the approbation body can say, no, we will not accept this. It's not only the approbation body that can decide that the controller is not accepted, it might be also that the MAJS have reservations on the controller that is selected. For the timing, there will be, so the controller is selected, or the controller has, in centralized system it's not selected, but it's important to understand the timing of the reporting towards the controllers. You know that each reporting period is made up of 6 months. Do not wait until the 6 months are over for you to prepare the documents and the supporting documents that you need to send to the controller. Throughout the 6 months, you have to prepare all the supporting documents for each specific budget line that need to be sent to the controller. In the last days of the reporting period, you should only be organizing and preparing the documents only of the last few invoices. And therefore, it is very important that the partners submit all documents to the controller at the end of the reporting period. Do not leave time. As you might know, then there is 2 months from the end of the reporting period, there is 2 months time for the lead partner to submit the progress report to the Joint Secretariat. In these 2 months, the controller must verify expenditure. According to regulations, the controllers have 3 months and not 2 months to verify the expenditure. However, we have always told the controllers that they should aim at 2 months. In the previous programming period, in most cases, we did not have any problems with the controllers actually performing within those 2 months. However, this is not a chance lost, because once you submit the progress report to the Joint Secretariat, there is a clarification process. We will go through the progress report, we'll come back to you with some clarifications. And during the first clarification round, but only during the first clarification round, it is possible for the lead partner to enclose additional verified expenditure in the progress report. It's not possible to include such costs once it's about, the monitoring process is about to end. This is why we have this rule that in the first clarification round, it is possible to include further costs. After that, it's only possible to include the costs in the next progress report. And now a few words about the submission of the progress reports. We have already spoken about the national controllers. So each project partner has to submit to his own national controller all the expenditure that has been incurred during a reporting period. And then the controller verifies the costs and does all this in the EMS. We do not, the supporting documents are not, and you will hear more about this even tomorrow, the supporting documents are not on EMS, but the actual control, so the partner reports are filled in the EMS. Part of the partner report is the list of expenditure, which is verified by the controllers. And the controllers issue certificates through the EMS. The partner report are not reports only for the controllers, but are also reports for the lead partner. So the partner submits partner reports to the national controllers and to the lead partner. And through these partner reports, the lead partner can, also through the EMS, will put together the reports into one joint progress report. This is not automatically transferred from partner report into a joint progress report, but the lead partner has to put the things together in one progress report, in a consolidated report, and then submits to the joint secretariat for the monitoring of the report.